Egypt is planning to auction $2.5 billion worth of Treasury bills this Monday. BNP Paribas says the cost of borrowing could surge by almost a third as foreign investors stay away. Well, the local currency, the pound, dropped more than 1% on Sunday, and Crédit Agricole predicts it'll decline 20% short term. Well, interest rates on 10-year debt peaked above 7% at the end of January before dropping back late last week. Well, joining us now on the phone to tell us more about this is Egypt's Deputy Central Bank Governor, Hisham Ramez. Mr. Ramez, thank you so much for joining us on the phone today. First of all, how concerned are you that your currency will continue sliding in the next couple of weeks until we find a proper resolution?
Actually, I'm not concerned about the currency as what you're hearing from different reports. There was different reports that the currency would open at a much lower level on Sunday, which was the first trading day yesterday, and it was not the case. We don't see it as a problem. The most important issue for us as a central bank is that the market performs, the liquidity is there, and the availability is there. And our clear instructions.
How much do you need a resolution sooner rather than later? You're in charge of the economy. We're seeing a run on banks. We're seeing some volatility still in your currency. And a lot of investors we speak to say you may not be able to sell this record, $2.6 billion that you're trying to sell.
I think it will be covered, definitely, this issue of the T-bills. Of course, things need to be settled as quick as possible. It will make things different. But actually, things are settling down. Once we started yesterday, the banking sector started, other businesses started. So things are, in a way, settling down. It's more a peaceful negotiation between different parties on the political front. On the economical front, on the banking sector side, I think the banks are ready to face this unrest that's happening. And it was obvious yesterday from the performance of the market, whether the interbank market, which made a volume of around $1.7 billion. As you know, our average trading volume is around $350 million a day.
Mr. Ramez, do you have a figure for every day of protest, how much that's going to impact the Egyptian economy?
Well, it's under study, but definitely there is a negative effect. Definitely there is an effect on the economy, but I don't have a figure to announce at the moment.
How concerned are you that actually inflation will continue creeping up? And again, the bank runs that we're seeing at the moment will continue if we don't see a resolution in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I can tell you that yesterday we opened around 15 or 20% of the branches of the banking sector, and of course, after a closure of 1 week, there was the people asking for cash. But still, it was much lower than expected, and the banks did cover the needs of the people. And we're gradually opening other branches in the banking sector, and this will cool things down. We are not seeing big withdrawals from the banking sector at the moment, because actually people will not take the cash and put it at home.
Hisham Ramez says, do you believe that now the worst of the demonstrations, the violent demonstrations, are over?
I think so. I think at least the uncertainty is not anymore there. I think you'll be looking on the more on the positive side of what happened, looking forward. So I think yes, things are much better than last week, definitely.
Mr. Ramez, we hear a lot from the West about how they think Egypt should run their politics or how they see the situation developing. Do you have a word of advice to them? Is this a problem that Egypt needs to deal with it and Egypt alone?
I think I'm not a politician, but if anything, from an economical standpoint, I think at least now the uncertainty is much less than before. Even before this demonstration, I think things are much more clear. There are lots of steps that have been taken that will make things work much better in the future. So I'm not really worried about this. If anything, I think this would be a good step for the future regarding our economy, regarding our openness.
And Governor,
so personally, I'm not worried.
Governor, I also wanted to go back to the fact that you believe, you're selling Treasury bills and you believe that this will be subscribed in full. Where do you see yields going? Because there's a real concern that if investors don't show up in mass, yields are going skyrocket.
I tell you something, the foreign investors, their holding in the Treasury bills does not exceed 8% of the outstanding. Okay? Yesterday, when lots of foreign investors sold their holdings in the Treasury bills, which is around $1.7 billion yesterday, it was sold in the secondary market, and it was covered by the local banks. If you look at the local bank's liquidity position, it's very high. If you look, which is something that I'm not proud of, our loans to deposit ratio is around 52%. So the banks are full of liquidity, and they grab this opportunity to get into the secondary market and buy the bills. The bills did not shoot up. The yields did not shoot up. Actually, from the last week, it did move up around 50 basis points.
No, you're right. They haven't risen yet, but there is a concern that actually if foreign investors stay away from this, you will see higher yields in the future.
Well, I don't think this will be the case. The banking sector is very liquid, and they cover their needs. If anything, yes, there will be a move in the yield, but not as high as people are expecting. Yesterday, the secondary market yields moved around 50 basis points after a one-week closure, after all this unrest that happened. So it was not really a huge move.
Hisham, Ramez, it's still, of course, a very unusual situation. When do you think you'll be able to do your job, back to normal properly? When are we going to see this political unrest and really unknown of what's happening to Egypt behind you?
I think in the coming 2-3 months, things will be very clear and much better. So, and if anything, we have passed through a much more tougher time regarding the economy. In November 2008, at the time of the financial crisis, we had a big outflow of around $16 billion from the foreigners, and the market did perform very well at the time.
Hisham Ramez, thank you so much. A great pleasure to speak to you, the Deputy Central Bank Governor of the Egyptian Bank. Well,